want to take a few seconds at the beginning of this video to let you know that gun channels are rowing upstream against the Google algorithm. And then you throw God into the equation, it's really a tough situation to be in. So please consider supporting this channel through Patreon. That link is below. And I want to take a moment and thank those of you who have and are supporting this channel. We could not have done what we have done over the last several years without you. Thank you. Welcome to a series called The End of Times, where we're going through the book of Revelation verse by verse to see what it is we can expect to happen in the end times. The time Jesus refers to as the end of the age. And where we are in the book of Revelation is we've gotten to the point where the 10 kings are making the harlot desolate and naked, making them eat their own flesh and burning them with fire. Last time we talked about the nakedness and why that is so important and the criticalness of God making, because God's making them do that. He had put it in their hearts to purpose His will in this. So why is that so important? Well, we talked about in the last episode, but this episode we're going to specifically address the burning with fire. So we're just going to pick it up in that verse, Revelation 17, starting in verse 16. The 10 horns which you saw on the beast, these will hate the harlot, make her desolate and naked, eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. For God has put it into their hearts to fulfill His purpose, to be of one mind, and to give their kingdom to the beast until the words of God are fulfilled. So this is really the first time that we see in really the Bible in general. You know, there's a lot of terminology about fire coming down from the sky, and we're going to talk about that in a second. What this is, burning them with fire, this could be two different things. It could definitely be a nuclear attack. It could certainly be that. But there's something that took place in Revelation 13:13 that I want to address. So we're going to go back to Revelation 13:13. And it says in Revelation 13:13 that this is the beast from the land, that he performs great signs so that he even makes fire come down from heaven on the earth in sight of men. So this fire that he comes down from heaven is not a man-made thing. This is of Satan. This is a power that Satan clearly has. Because if we go to the book of Job and go all the way back to Job 1, now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came among them. And the Lord said to Satan, "From where do you come?" So Satan answered the Lord and said, "From going to and fro on the earth, and from walking back and forth on it." Then the Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? There is none like him on the earth, a blameless and upright man, one who fears God and shuns evil." So Satan answered the Lord and said, "Does Job fear God for nothing? Have you not made a hedge around him, around his household, and around all that he has on every side? You have blessed the work of his hand, and his possessions have increased in the land. But now stretch out your hand and touch all that he has, and he will surely curse you to your face." The Lord said to Satan, "Behold, all that he has is in your power. In your power. Only do not lay hand on his person." Then Satan went out from his presence of the Lord. And then servants started to come to Job and tell him what it is that had happened. And we'll jump to 16. While he was still speaking, another also came and said, "The fire of God fell from heaven and burned up the sheep and the servants and consumed them, and I alone have escaped to tell you." Now, of course, Revelation 13:2 says, "Now the beast which I saw was like a leopard, his feet were like the feet of a bear, and his mouth like the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power, his throne, and great authority." And the dragon is, of course, Satan. So this is definitely a power that is possible. And it, you know, they didn't have nuclear missiles back in Job's day. This was literally an act of Satan to somehow pull fire from the sky to burn up the things on the earth. You know, Satan doesn't have a lot of abilities. You know, he can't raise people from the dead, but he can pull fire down from the sky and kill people that way. And it's important that we see that, because we also then saw that the false prophet also had that ability. Of course, and the false prophet is of Satan. So there's a couple things that could be taking place here. It could be that. But it also could be a nuclear war, because these are the 10 kings doing it. It could be a nuclear assault on that nation of Babylon. But in addition to that, if we look at Revelation 16, 17 through 19, then the seventh angel poured out a bowl into the air, and a loud voice came out of the temple of heaven from the throne, saying, "It is done." And there were noises and thunderings and lightnings, and there was such a great earthquake, such a mighty and great earthquake as had not occurred since men were on the earth. Now the great city was divided into 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell. And great Babylon was remembered before God to give her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. So what they're saying here is, Babylon isn't completely destroyed by the fire, by the nakedness and the fire, because there's also going to be an earthquake, which then continues to kill it. And it's probably a combination of the fire, whether it be the fire from the sky, then burning everything up into smoke, or if it was a nuclear war, but it causes a third of the earth to be dark. This is something that this is why a third of the earth becomes dark. But it's not until the earthquake that all of a sudden you start to see it really gets destroyed. Then but mountains are disappearing, islands are disappearing. So I want to take a moment and kind of talk about this timeline here, because what we've seen is you got 3.5 years of tribulation. From the moment of the abomination, you have 3.5 years of the warring of the saints, which is between 144,000 Israelites alongside a multitude of the remnant of the saints versus the Antichrist in the world. And that goes on for 3.5 years, and somewhere near the end of that. And we did a timeline on this too, as one of the episodes back in the teens. This is when the darkness comes, and it was prophesied. There was a dates given on when this darkness will come too, but it's near the end of the 3.5 years. And then there's an additional 45 days after that. So timeline wise, we're looking at before the 3.5 years is up is when this is all going to get destroyed. Right before the third of the earth becomes dark, right before the 3.5 years is over, the third of the earth is going to be dark. Babylon is going to be destroyed. Then the earthquake is going to start shaking everything. But then it gets even worse, because this is just the third of the earth. And then it goes on to say in 13, verse 8, and another angel followed, saying, "Babylon is fallen, and the great city, because she has made all the nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication." Go to Revelation 9, and the 5th angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven to the earth, and to him was given the key to the bottomless pit. He opened the bottomless pit, and smoke arose out of the pit like a smoke of a great furnace. And the sun and the air were darkened because of the smoke of the pit. And that's when the entire earth becomes dark. And when Jesus talked about this moment in time in Matthew 24, he says, "Then if anyone says to you, 'Look, here is the Christ,' and there, do not believe it. For false Christs and false prophets will arise and show great signs and wonders, so as to deceive, if possible, even the elect," that's the Christians, "of these signs and wonders, particularly fire coming from the sky. See, I have told you beforehand. Therefore, if they say to you, 'Look, he is in the desert,' do not go out. Or, 'Look, he is in the inner rooms.' Do not believe it. For as lightning comes from the east and flashes to the west, so also will the coming of the Son of Man be. For wherever the carcass is, there the eagles will be gathered together. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened and the moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from heaven, and the powers of heaven will be shaken. Then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in heaven. Then all the tribes of the earth will mourn, and they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory." So what you got is you have 3.5 years of tribulation. Somewhere near the end of that 3.5 years, the third of the earth will be destroyed and darkened by fire from the sky, by earthquakes, by angels. It just begins with the 10 kings destroying it with fire. Then the bottomless pit opens and smoke just makes the entire earth dark. And it stays dark until the moment that lightning flashes from the west and Jesus Christ appears in a cloud of glory. So let's go back and take a look at what we read here. "And the 10 horns which you saw on the beast, these will hate the harlot, make her desolate and naked, eat her flesh and burn her with fire. For God has put it into their hearts to fulfill his purpose, to be of one mind, and to give their kingdom to the beast, until the words of God are fulfilled. And of course, the harlot is reigning over these nations, which is probably a lot of why they hate her. So I hope these videos are helping. Definitely any insight on the burning the harlot with fire, put that in the comments below. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. If you feel called to support this channel with Patreon, that link is also below. But the most important part of this channel is we take prayer requests, so please don't ever hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, and love guns.